Indians have no freedom of religion. You can't change your faith. You have to make an application and the government determines whether or not it will let you do that. The Catholic Church in Gujarat has stopped baptizing people because it fears that the harassment from the VHP and from the state itself is so high that it doesn't want to get into something that it was founded for. They want active brutalization of our own citizens, and this is what they will continue to do.
As India waves flags and celebrates the 75th anniversary of its independence, Muslims in other minority communities continue to struggle against encroachment of their land, water, forest, language and culture, as well as identity.
It's not Hindus, it's Indians who became independent. And it was not a victory of Hindus, it was a victory of Indians. And Indians include Muslims and Jains and some Buddhists and Christians and indeed a few Jews here and there also. So it's the turning of a political independence and self-respect and all of those things into a religious ideology, which it seems to me is unjustified. The facts don't support it. When they got rid of the British, they didn't get rid of Muslim control. It was British control they got rid of, and it's gone.
What the BJP does is that its politics is driven primarily against India's own citizens and is shown to Muslims really clearly that we don't want you and we are going to exclude you. The government of Gujarat decides the people of which religion can buy a property where. The buyer and seller don't have that right. So Muslims are denied permission to buy in the areas where they are not wanted. These areas, they are notified as being disturbed. Each year it becomes more difficult for Muslims to get out of their ghettos. The government determines where it is that they can live. Foreigners can buy properties in parts of Gujarat where Gujarati Muslims cannot.
And so Hindus in Gujarat can use the act to prevent a Muslim from buying the property next to them and have someone else's sale set aside.
Yes, this happens actively. It happens regularly. Neighbors often, and this is reported in the media regularly, do not want the property next to theirs to be sold to a Muslim. What they're doing is dividing this society at the neighborhood level, at the level of law and policy. This exclusion is all that they have, and they will push for more of the same.
As Akar Patel explains, the release of 11 of those convicted for the gang rape of Bilkis Banu and the murder of 7 of her family members is yet another example of how the judiciary in India is equally responsible for the oppression of the country's minorities.
Freedom of religion that was constitutionally guaranteed was taken away by the Supreme Court in 1977. The Uttarakhand High Court forced the state to legislate a love jihad law. The love jihad conspiracy began from a Kerala High Court judge. Cow slaughter was banned after the Supreme Court, and the judgment said that the Chief Justice was taking into account not the Constitution but Hindu sentiment. The list of wrongs by the judiciary is quite long, and I would say that it is complicit.
Moreover, the country's anti-Muslim, anti-minority policies are driven from the top down with the full backing and support of the Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Beef lynching as a category of violence came into India after 2015 when Mr. Modi pushed for a ban. Maharashtra, Haryana then passed laws and the murders began after that. He has rewarded those who abuse Muslims. I think we can safely conclude that Mr. Modi not only condones it, he encourages it, I would say. He personifies the sort of hard, cruel Hindutva that is popular.
They say they believe that India is a land that has always belonged to Hindus and should belong to Hindus now, and that people who are not Hindus should get out. And there's simply no historical justification. It's a new idea. It's their idea. India has never been entirely Hindu. There's always been other people. You had some Buddhist kingdoms, and you had Jains, and you had movements of Shaktism. When the Indo-European speaking people came into the tip of the Northwest with their Rig Veda, India was already a big country full of people who believe we have no idea what. And then we have the settlement of the Ganges Valley, but by that time we have Buddhists, we have Jains. I mean, from the earliest recorded history, really, there were already at least 3 major religions in India at that time: Vedic religion, Buddhism, and Jainism. Christians came in quite early and stayed around for a while. There has always been Jews. The law on which I was prosecuted is a law that says it's against the law in India to offend the religious sensibilities of a person. That law was made under the British Raj in the early 20th century to protect Muslims from Hindus. Ram was not born in Ayodhya. Ram is a mythical figure. He wasn't born anywhere. All over India, there are people who say Ram was born here or Ram was born there. It's simply not true. So I didn't make anything up. It's right there in the Indian sources.
75 years after independence, not only is India applying the same oppressive imperial laws its forefathers fought to be liberated from, but it has backslided as a society with little to no rights for anyone who doesn't conform with the Hindutva outfit's philosophy. Liaquat Tobias, CI Radio News.